Hey guys, what's up? Rambo here with an initial impressions commentary for DOA3 3 Rise of the Mama Back. So, DOA3, long time coming, huh? I should preface this by saying that I started playing DOA back in 2011 or so with DOA3 1 in Black Ops 1. And the idea of there ever being a sequel to the game was just kind of bizarre, right? It seemed like a one-off mode that only a few people liked. But eventually, 5 years later in 2015, the second installment came out. And now here we are again, 5 years after that, with DOA3. So for me, regardless of how DOA2 and DOA3 came out, the fact that they were even made was sort of impressive in its own right for me, and I was very appreciative to play each game. This game so far has only been out for a little over 2 weeks, so we're still in the early stages. It's still November at the time of recording this video, but I'm having a lot of fun so far. I really am. On YouTube, on Twitch, I'm sort of taking a different approach to it this time around. Some of you who might know my channel, I've sort of been more of a high round player for DOA in the past. And not that I'm not doing that for DOA 3, because I got a couple of records early on. But I just haven't really had the time or sort of too much motivation to play a super long game right now. I'm sort of just waiting for certain things to be ironed out in terms of the gameplay mechanics for co-op in the high rounds. I've never been much of a solo player. I'm more of a co-op player. I like sort of the teamwork that goes into those games in the later rounds. And on this game, it's sort of reminded me a bit of DOA2 in the early days. And what I mean by that, for those of you who didn't play DOA2, especially early on, is sort of weak fates in the later rounds, or zombie pathing that's a bit awkward. In this game, they got anticipation logic with the zombies, and also the random room of fate. So getting my set up for, let's say, a 4-player match. If I want to play with feet, shield, chalice, and firepower, there's only a certain percentage chance that those 4 exact fates show up as 4 of the 6 stones. So waiting for this potential Room of Fate update to come out soon, I think will be helpful in motivating me to play high rounds again. Although another issue with high rounds that I've been running into is crashing. I've noticed an issue, and I don't know if it's like an Xbox Series X issue. I know people on PS5 have had issues with crashing, but for me personally, I noticed an issue where on this specific arena, the small one with the staircases, if I'm in first person mode, I guess I'm liable to crash or something. I've had it happen to me twice now, once on round 13 and once on round 77, where I'm in first person mode on that arena, my game freezes and even turns off my console altogether. So the idea of possibly bricking my new Xbox is not exactly appealing. And solo, I might end up playing a solo game at some point, but it seems like the games could go really long. I think currently the record is 192 if I'm not mistaken. So people are pushing it very far already. If I had to guess, because I played a co-op game recently as well to round 87 where, guess what happened? Like, we somehow crashed. But if I had to guess, the co-op record is going to be pushed very far very soon. I think people are going to make it to 200 within a week or two. Okay, we'll move on to the next topic. Enough about that. Talk about things that I really like about DOA3. The Wild. I think the Wild is a really expansive open world area that just offers a lot of unique gameplay for DOA. It being early on into the game is a very good thing so people could explore it. They get an idea of all the different enemies in DOA. Many of those enemies in the Wild end up coming back later on into the game, which I think is cool. So the Wild is definitely a very, very awesome thing, I think, for DevOps. I know some people are not very keen on the idea. I've had some people in my comment section say they're not the biggest fan of it, they feel like it takes too much time. Perhaps it gets a bit repetitive once you do it a few times, but overall I think it's fun, and if you want to skip it, you usually have the opportunity to do that. What I don't like about the Wild is the deadly dungeons, and specifically the whole Margwa Fate Stone randomness to it. In case you guys don't know, currently in the current build of the game, there's like a 7% chance that you find a Margwa in your deadly dungeon, and the Margwa pretty much signifies that there's a Fate Stone that you could obtain. And the thing with that Fate Stone is, it could be any of the 6 fates. And if you play less than 4 players, let's say you play a solo game, the percentage chance of finding that Fate Stone is significantly less. So players, whether they're casuals or high round players, I think they want to restart usually if they don't find that, right? Like, they want to get an optimal run going. If you're a casual player trying to beat 64, you're going to want to get 2 fates, I think. Or if you're a high round player trying to get a world record, you want every advantage you could get. You want 2 fates. So you're going to be restarting quite a bit, unfortunately. I think there might be an update coming which might make it more of a guarantee later into the game to get a second fate, but I think that Margwa feature might still exist. So we might have the same issue where players are just trying to restart for 3 fates then. So, not the biggest fan of randomness tied to fates. I've said this throughout the years with DOA2. DOA2 was random room of fate, random room of judgment, and the same applies this time around. Other things I really like about the game is the level design. I don't know exactly who did the level geo for this game. I think that's like the person who puts like the campaign and multiplayer levels and they tweak it to fit like a DOA aesthetic. I know there's different people who did it for DOA 1 and DOA 2. But not sure who did it for DOA 3. I really like the levels. I think the detail in them is very good. I think they're very appealing levels, especially in first person mode. The only problem I have with some of the levels is that they're so expansive that you can't see all the action happening on the map. For example, if you're playing a co-op game, you could be in a certain arena like this one, like the throne room, let's call it. You could have one person camping in the bottom next to the water, and you could have another person all the way over next to the throne, and you have no way of even seeing what they're doing, which I guess not necessarily a bad thing. Like in zombies, you know, you're in different rooms a lot of the times, right? But DOA, I always figured DOA as top down, you see the whole map, you see all the action happening, you react to what your teammates are doing. But, you know, this game took a different direction with that, and I think it could work, and I think it does work most of the time. Also, some people mention certain bugs about the game on my comment section and on Twitter. Just know that a lot of these bugs are being worked on. The developer is very open to feedback. If you guys didn't play DOA 2, there was literally like over 100 changes / bug fixes / balance tuning things made over the course of a 9-month period. So, you know, the game in its current form, it's going to be pretty similar. Like it's not like an arena is going to be sliced and diced out of the game or something. But certain things are going to be patched up to be more favorable to the player. Some things might get buffed. Some things may even get nerfed if they're too overpowered. It's going to be a nice balance struck, I think, over the next few months. So if you're having trouble with the game right now, don't be too discouraged. There might be some updates made which make it a bit easier for you, especially for trophy hunters, which leads to my next point. The game's been out for 2 weeks, fellas. You can't be raving and ranting that you can't get the trophy when the game's been out for 2 weeks. I don't know how the process works for trophy hunters. Maybe you guys could sort of give me an idea of what your thought process is. Maybe you guys want to buy a game, complete it as fast as possible, move on to the next game. But surely, if you're missing one trophy, this reunited with Fidelina trophy, you could wait a few weeks or even a few months and there's no harm done, right? Like, just because you're not able to beat the trophy now doesn't mean you can't return to it in the future. I think it'll be easier in the future once I said some of these changes are made. It'll just naturally make the game a bit easier for certain people. I think also players get better over time. Strategies develop. More resources are available online on YouTube or Twitch for you to look at and digest. When I started playing, I wasn't very good either. You know, beating Dead Ops Arcade 1, the boss round, I couldn't do it. But, you know, I practiced, I put the time in. I didn't think it was going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. And, you know, eventually I did it. So the same process applies here. If you can't beat it, don't think it's impossible. There are hundreds of people who've done it so far. For previous games, there's thousands and thousands who beat the boss. Is this game more difficult than previous DOAs? Maybe right now. But overall, I would say down the line, it's going to be probably pretty similar to DOA 2, considering the amount of levels in both games. Also, don't be surprised if there's sort of a feature added in the future helps out some of these people who are having trouble with the trophy. But again, no guarantee that happens. But like I said, hold out hope if you're not getting the trophy. Don't be, you know, spending $200 for the trophy or you know, DMing me on Twitter for boss defeat carry. I just don't have the time to help everybody. Although, I just did an open lobby this past weekend where I helped 6 people get the trophy, and even 2 of them got the Dark Ops Challenge. And I plan on doing that again on Saturday, December 5th. If anybody wants to tune in, keep an eye on my Twitter. I think I'll try to do it at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, December 5th. I'll help 3 more people get the trophy. They'll be pretty much picked at random. The details of the selection process, I think, will be very similar to what I've done this past weekend. More details to follow on that. Also, if you're having trouble beating the game, use the DOA3 Reddit as a resource. There's a stickied thread where you could find people for matchmaking. List your high round there. List your Activision ID. List your goal. If you're around 40 player, right, you're dying on Meatball Soup, let's say. If you find 3 other players dying on Meatball Soup, I would be willing to wager that those 4 players together, with teamwork and with communication, they could beat round 64 in 1 or 2 tries. I really think that. As long as they're all capable players who didn't get carried to that round 40. But if they're all actually round 40 caliber players, you combine them, you could get a 64 game right there. Closing thoughts on it. I mean, it's kind of been insane, you know, because the channel has been growing. I've been on YouTube for about 9 years. The channel's not going to grow to a astounding number. I'm not delusional about it. It's DOA we're dealing with, right? In a few weeks or a few months, the game is going to die out quite a bit, unfortunately. It's the nature of the beast. I know how it goes. But right now, I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I appreciate all the support on YouTube. Closing in on 3,000 subscribers, which is insane because I only had about 1.3k or something going into DOA3. Also Twitch, a lot of support on Twitch with new follows and subscriptions, so I appreciate that very much. But keep an eye on my Twitch channel, Rambo with a 0. And even Twitter. I mean, I've been getting a ridiculous amount of direct messages on Twitter. I apologize if I don't respond to them all. It's just impractical for me to do that because I can't satisfy every request to be the boss. It takes 4 hours of my time. I can't possibly do it for everybody. So keep an eye for these open lobbies in the future. One on December 5th, like I said. And also, you could do it yourself as well. Like, don't give up. Don't think it's too difficult. Believe me, it's very much in the realm of possibility. If you put a little practice in, if you don't have a defeatist mindset about it, if you're actually committed to doing it, you could do it. I'm working on 1 or 2 scripted videos, which should be out hopefully in the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that. Also, one final announcement. I know a lot of different announcements going on this video, but I also have channel memberships now for my YouTube channel. So that means you could sort of pay to support me. I don't know if anybody's even interested in doing that, but the option is there. I kept the tier levels very low, ranging from $2 to $5 a month. Just there, you know, even if you want to do it for a month and then stop having it as a recurrent payment, that's perfectly fine. Sort of the bonuses of being a channel member, you'll get behind the scenes photos of videos I'm working on, whether it's a snapshot of a script I'm writing, or maybe an image of an editing timeline, or maybe an image of a game I played, or just little updates like that. Nothing too special, to be honest, but just a little something for those who decide to support on YouTube. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like. Thanks for watching.